It's
and languages.
Come on, Evie. I'm dragging Evie along, like just along the ways, like just.
You're forcing me to learn crossbow, basically.
Yes, I am. Well, I'm forcing you to get 9 to 10 days of training on a 10-week minus your intelligence modifier number of weeks of training to learn light crossbows.
It also costs. It also takes a financial investment to do this, doesn't it?
Yeah, you guys have tons of money that you pulled out of that.
I mean, that's not the weapon that I would want to spend money on.
Whatever, it's fine.
See, this is why Jeannie didn't get the knife, and Orson did.
If you could teach Evie to use a rapier, she'd be all over that. Listen. You know how Jeannie is erotically attracted to machines? Like for Evie, a sword fight is like the most erotic possible experience.
What I'm hearing is both of us have mental issues.
That's
That's a lot. That is a word that happened. That's a series of words that happened, and I'm distressed.
Is erotic the word you meant to use in that context?
Yes, erotic is the word that she meant to use.
Okay.
So
it's an extremely intimate experience to have a sword fight with another person.
Saul, are we gonna have to talk about no-no zones?
Just sliding the sword in.
Treble, no.
Yeah.
Treble.
Okay, well now you're making it weird.
No, you made it weird. Treble just ran with it.
You made it weird.
Arriving back at Brennanine, coming in through the tunnel in the southern part of the city, you receive word relatively quickly because house runners have been waiting on your arrival. I'm assuming you sent word back that you were coming, that you were en route.
Yeah.
That cousin Abernathy Amberson has arrived in Brennanine to court fair Jeannie at the behests of her cousin Trieste. Let me pull up my lists here.
Jeannie's like looking at the parts of the cannon in the back of the cart when we get this, and she's like, "Oh, right, I forgot about that."
I thought all that stuff was in your bag of holding. Did you remove it?
Just parts. Like I said, she's just looking at parts.
So Abernathy is a 16-year-old man of House Amberson from a lesser branch of the house. So not the ruling branch. Trieste is a daughter of one of the ruling branches of the house. And Abernathy's her cousin.
Is she the daughter of the speaker?
Yes.
Okay. So is she the heir?
I think Donique is the heir. Or maybe they have an older sibling. I'd have to look in their notes. The important thing is that Abernathy is not the heir. But he's visiting Brennanine at Trieste's invitation with his entourage. They've rented out all of the rooms in an inn. One of the closest inns to Dead Rabbit Way. Called the Seven Served Pie.
Good inn name.
So Abernathy, from what you've heard, because Trieste has been talking about him in his visit for weeks. He's an intelligent and very handsome man, but there's a portrait of it you've seen, and he's got this. He's fairly handsome, except he has this enormous hook nose.
Okay.
And the first thing you see about him, because I'm assuming you're not going directly into his waiting arms when you arrive in the city. I'm assuming you're going back to the Veritas estate first. But the reason it's taken him so long to get to Brennanine to visit is because he's come by boat. He's from the city of Nornir, which is a rough equivalent of something like Venice. You can pull boat your way around the city through beautiful canals and whatnot.
Isn't that where the cultists are?
Some of them, yeah.
They're also gonna have a war soon, I guess.
Listen, I don't like telling. I feel like it's not my position as the DM to explain to players how they feel about something or like what their opinions are about something. That's like one of the few spots of the game where I don't have any control or say. I think that's reasonable. That being said, when you guys see this pull boat sitting in the lake, all 5 of you think it is the most ridiculous and completely stupid boat you've ever seen in your life. It is garishly colored. It's in way too deep of water, so it has to be paddled around by oarsmen who have the only place for these oarsmen to sit. There's not a below deck, so the only place for these oarsmen to sit are in the places where you're supposed to sit as the boat's being pulled around the canals of Nornir. And on the front of this pull boat is this decoration of this merman, and it's the most flamboyant. Like, we're talking, it's got pointy nipples and windswept hair, and is holding a trident, which normally looks really cool. But you look at this merman and you're like, this is the least threatening merman. Like, he's afraid of his own trident. He's holding it at arm's length. Ridiculous boat. It's easily an F- 0 out of 10 boat.
Victor will just nudge Genie and go, he's all yours.
And the boat is tied up in the water right across the street from this inn. And looking at it, like, none of you have water vehicles. None of you know how to drive a boat or sail one or anything. But even without that knowledge, even knowing nothing about naval vessels at all, getting this pull boat from Nornir to Brennanine must have been a gargantuanly wasteful exercise.
Genie, I hope, I guess it would be crass of me to say that it looks like your new bow was a bit of a catch.
He's peacocking for you. You should be flattered.
Man nipples on this merman. Somebody carved them. It's like Joel Schumacher's Aquaman.
Victor is gonna walk over to the boat if you're passing by it.
Well, you're passing by the inn on the way home, and across the street from the inn is...
Victor is gonna stop
Edmont
ahead of that boat.
Edmont is staring.
Oh no, is this the second campaign in a row I'm gonna be made to go on a date? Oh no. This is probably worse.
Genie, come here. You gotta look at the detail on this boat. Come here, Genie.
Didn't the first date involve you guys getting attacked by like a colossal squid monster? How could this be worse?
I don't know. We're gonna find out.
I mean, Gus probably welcomed the squid monster.
Victor is going to very loudly point out all the intricate details of the man nipples to Genie. Hopefully so loud enough the person inside the inn can hear.
Jeannie is basically immune to this teasing because she literally does not care. This is not...
You're just looking for a place to mount your steam engine on this boat. So, Abernathy, I mean, he's got men of his party. He's got guardsmen standing by. If you're going to introduce yourself. Abernathy himself is not in evidence right now. He and Trieste and the rest of the Amberson family are off doing other things today.
We are not introducing ourselves. I am not... showing up around this man's dressed like this.
But he's here for you. Don't you want him to watch you?
Do you understand how much Ruby would yell at me? I do not have time for that.
Don't you want him to love you for who you are?
I do not have time to be yelled at by Ruby. I have a cannon to disassemble and reassemble. I have all this magical wood, by the way, which I need to ask you questions about.
I'm sure you're not the only person who has magical wood.
For all the work she protests about stressing out, she certainly does find a myriad ways of making our lives difficult.
I guess we can go back home.
Treble, why is everything in every campaign always your fault?
I don't know.
Third campaign running. It's always your fault.
We're the ones coming back home in a cart pulled by a mule, so I'm not going to throw any stones.
Your mule makes sense, though. This ridiculous merman boat makes no sense in Brennanine. Because
Actually, wait. Before we leave, Edmont, can you please get a drawing of this boat so we can show Ruby?
Oh, I'm sure she's
I think
seen.
Oh,
Ruby
she's
might
seen
have
it.
already seen
Of
it by
course.
now.
She's
So-
debating whether she's going to let Genie be seen with this man.
So one quick question: my steam engine is too large for this boat, right?
Yeah. That steam engine was disassembled on
It's like a
huge river boat.
right. Yeah. We're talking like
This
small
is-
shacks.
This is a Venice like gondola. You know,
Yeah.
That they paddled all the way from Nornir.
they must have either they paddled it up the river, or they hauled it overland, and either way is really, really wasteful.
Ekon's just looking at it and he's just. If I had to bring that boat from Nornir, I would put it in another better boat and then disembark once I got up the river.
Like this is like Ekon's like I could make a sermon about how wasteful this is.
No, the thing is, he must be really proud of this boat. This is the thing that he brought to show off how cool he is.
Yeah, word
I
on
mean-
the street is that it's a very romantic. Like in Nornir, this boat would make more sense.
Like I
This
have
was a cool thing.
how good is the crafting, like the craftsmanship?
Oh, you
Is it like-
don't know while walking past it on the road. You assume it's fine because the Amberson family. I mean, they live in Mendelin. They have holdings on islands and all along rivers. Like, if anybody could build a decent boat, but
Well, anyway, they're making fun of me, and my stance on this is no.
Evie hasn't made any fun of you.
Yes, I know.
This
It's like-
she's having sympathy pains, if anything.
So my stance is, listen, we have stuff to unload. We got to get it in my lab so I can get so I could start the experiments, and because I have things I want to make. Especially with this incredibly magical wood that apparently can hold an edge like steel.
so it's not literally magical. It is a type of wood that functionally has the properties of steel.
Right.
Uh,
But you
so-
said it was enchanted to not deteriorate underwater.
Yes, this specific the weapons or the coins rather that you had found, and
Oh, the planks.
or the bridge
Yeah.
pieces. Yeah, these specific planks have been enchanted for the purpose of not being able to do water damage. They're not enchanted in the sense that they're like a +1 weapon or anything.
They won't overcome.
That
like,
said,
most-
technically, weapons made out of these planks would count as magical slashing damage.
Yes, exactly.
So here's the rules for that. You can't smelt it the way you
Right.
can metal. You can't melt it down. So the coins are worthless for making anything. You could pulp it like you could with wood, but then it would lose all of its wood steel properties. Then it's just effectively wood pulp.
Could
It's
we
paper.
could we sell it to the shipbuilders to be used in ships, or is there not enough?
There's not enough of it here because you guys disassembled. I think you had like 11 planks total.
Yeah.
I would say that each of these planks, each one, you have a 20% chance of being able to make something like a longsword out of it. If you roll that chance and fail, you still have a 50% chance of making a short sword out of it. And if you roll that and fail, you have a 50% chance of being able to make a dagger.
Could
What
we,
if I just skip straight to the dagger?
wait? Could we make a raft so that Genie could pull up alongside the gondola and look just as fashionable?
Nobody looks fashionable on a raft.
'Cause the
Yeah, I
things
would say that any plank, you'd have a 50% chance of making a dagger.
Okay, so is it because these are long planks? Like, so I get one dagger out of one plank.
Yes. The reason being, this isn't an area of Genie's expertise.
I mean, I have woodworking proficiency.
Oh, that's right. You have woodworking and blacksmithing, don't you?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
and
So-
Arcana.
The difficulty here is you're not like carving it down and shaping it. You'd have to split the wood to get it into a proper shape.
Right.
And when you have a plank of wood, not the entire plank is always useful for the purpose at hand. If there's a split in the wrong place or there's a knot in the wrong place, just like with regular wood, wood still would be useless. So each of these planks, I would say, is about worthwhile. you got about a 50% chance of getting a good dagger out of it. And if you
If-
roll that for one of the planks and fail, then it's just that plank wasn't going to make a good dagger.
If she fails at the dagger, can she try and make arrows out of them?
Yeah, I would say that any of these plank scraps would be good for maybe a D6 arrowheads. Seems reasonable.
The coins, can I put them on can can I use them with this as are they big, large enough to use as studs for studded leather armor?
It wouldn't make your leather armor magical. Is that what you're asking?
Eh.
You would just
I
have
think we should
fancy
bring.
studs.
I think we should bring the coins back to Victor's guild and see if there's any value to them.
Yeah,
along
the
with
coin. I
Probably
think
anything else like that.
the coins and the black iron coins. I think we should sell.
So the wood steel coins have each coin has about the value of a silver piece, and the black iron coins, each one you have has about the value of a platinum piece. So their primary value is of historical curiosity. These kind of coins have not been minted in many, many generations. But like if you were going to, you wouldn't be able to use them as currency in town. You'd have to sell them on to collectors, and that's the price you'd get for them. One silver for each wood steel coin, one platinum for each black iron coin.
Second question. Is there any special property other than not rusting for the black iron stuff?
No,
Is it
it's
like-
just iron that does not rust.
Okay. I guess so. Just real quick, this is what I'm gonna lay out some stuff that I need while I deal like just if somebody wants to help me do this, I can because I'm gonna have to go speak with man nipples. I need a pearl.
Yep.
And that because we got stuff to do. Somebody's got to take the 6,000 wood steel coins and 120 black iron coins. And when I get back, my goal in this order, just to tell you what I plan on doing, is I'm going to make a dagger for Evie because she's my sister and I love her the most.
Aw.
And this is exactly what I say. Because that's just the kind of person Jeannie is. I love her the most.
Well, Evie didn't give Jeannie a dagger. So now does Evie feel bad about it? You gave your dagger to Orson.
Well, Jeannie can make her own daggers, as is in evidence.
Oh,
Jeannie doesn't like using knives. Jeannie likes to blow things up.
it's true.
Evie knows Jeannie really well. Probably better than anyone.
If I can take some of these 100 GP gems, I can go buy spell components. I'll just trade for them. I'm pretty sure spell component
So
people would just trade for gems.
Yeah, it's fine.
So question.
The gems
for you,
are currently set into equipment, though. They're inside. You have to pry them out of shields, daggers, and helms.
like I can spend the time to do that.
The equipment would still function as equipment. It would just they'd have little pock marks instead of gemstones.
Okay,
Could we
question.
have done that on the way?
Yeah, if you want.
Well, I do have a question. Is the completed piece worth more than the? So, like as a whole, like is the helmets worth more as a whole piece than just pulling the gems out and selling
No,
the helmet?
keep
and
it simple.
Okay.
I think you have
but-
4 each of shields, daggers, and helms, and 13 gems spread across all of them.
So the things that I want to make are off the. So I don't think at this point. My understanding is like for Edmont wants to punch things, correct?
More or less.
Okay, so Edmont wants to
But
punch things.
but I won't mind. I would not mind some other weapon that I could make use of.
Okay, so I will. What I will do is I will make a. Okay, so dagger first, but like the dagger that I want to do is I want to transfer over my returning enchantment to it, so that it is a permanent version of that. Is that an uncommon enchantment? Would that be equivalent to an uncommon enchantment? The thing is
What
what
rules are you using? Is this an Artificer thing, or are you looking to the Xanathar is creating magic item rules?
creating a magic item. You said I could make a permanent version of anything that I had an infusion for.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable.
Okay, but like the there might be a returning object, returning weapon in some random book, but there's not in like the DMG. So that's why I was asking: is it uncommon?
I would say that you could probably call that. What are some other examples of uncommon items? Refresh my memory.
Basically, everything on the Artificer list
Mhm.
is that I can replicate is uncommon until I get to like level 14.
Including this returning dagger you want to make?
And that is a level 1 that is available to me at level 2. So
Yeah, then I'm fine calling it uncommon. If it's about this in that ballpark, I don't think we can.
So-
say
This is
it's-
a +1 returning dagger, correct?
it's a +1 returning dagger, yeah. So you know, like the return, it's like +1 is uncommon, but +2 is rare.
Yeah.
All right, so go ahead and I will collect some. We're going to call these evening actions by the time you guys get back into town. And I'll come to Treble last so he has time to write his list of everything that he wants people to buy for him.
It's basically just the pearl.
What is Edmund doing this
And sell the
evening?
coins.
All you've done so far is you've arrived back in Brennanine, you've seen Abernathy's ridiculous boat, and you got back to the mansion. That's all that's happened so far. Ruby and Nigel and them, they know that you've returned, but so far nobody's given a full report. Nobody's done a full accounting of your treasure.
Suppose that's worth doing.
Are you going to stay in for the evening and see to that?
Yeah.
Okay. What is Victor doing this evening?
Victor will, I guess, go with Orson and tell Ruby the details about what they found, and then, time permitting, go tell the guild what they found as well.
You can make a report to Ruby, or you can make a report to your guild this evening.
We'll make our first report to Ruby.
Okay, so you're staying in as well. What about Evie?
Do I need to spend an action to like go shopping?
Yep.
Okay. Is there to buy a forgery kit? Do I have to like go through like the black market to get that, or can I just put together the components for that just by
could put-
shopping around?
You could put together components. Is that just an item or a kit out of the book that has a price attached to it?
Yeah.
Then yeah, just
she
pay
wants-
the price for it.
Yeah, she needs to just go buy a couple things.
You're not going to Walmart and buying a forgery kit.
No. I understand that, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure if like an object like that requires like some specialized components that a normal store wouldn't carry because it is illicit.
Nah. So you're going shopping. What is Ekon doing?
Ekon was going to go buy spell components and probably replace some of the stuff he lost on his horse.
Also shopping.
Yep.
And
Is
Jeannie,
somebody-
you are starting work on.
Well, I'm reporting to Ruby. The first thing, I'm going to let Ruby know I'm here, and then I'm going to bring everything in to the to let Ruby know that I will interface, I guess, with, I don't even remember his name. All my brain is like mermaid tits. Mermaid nips. Just interface with him sometime in the next week.
Okay.
And then, yeah, I will start work on that.
So submit your shopping list to Evie and Ekon, because it sounds like they are going to go out and do some wheeling and dealing. The report goes over well, especially with Nigel. Ruby basically just wants to know that the excursion was a success, that you guys have brought back a few magic items. You brought back some good stories. You found a part of the ruins that apparently hadn't been discovered in an age. Nigel wants to know every single detail. And every time you tell him a detail, he spins off. It reminds him of some story from his youth. So it takes hours to get through all of it.
Yeah, no, I'm totally fine with that.
He especially likes the part about the corrupted magic you had to fight.
I'm more than interested in hearing stories about that kind of thing.
Oh, he's got stories about it. It's not a common thing that happens, but it does happen from time to time. Evie,
Yes.
One development that would also have happened by now. The minor house that you'd have to deal with in South Warren that technically owns and manages the tracts of land you want to go mess around with is a very small house called House Growthgate.
Mm-hmm.
You may have heard this word before in your life, but there are hundreds and hundreds of small houses all around South Warren, and they're very far removed from you. This might be some ancient but very poor noble house. It might just be some landed knight. You really don't know until more investigation comes in. And
So is that all
obviously,
I found out?
no people from House Growthgate live in Brennan. You'd have to be doing long-term contacts, sending messages back and forth. Like, this is a process. This is probably going to take months.
Yeah, that's not something we can do quickly or easily. But I have a name. I know who I would have to talk to. I guess that's progress.
So they technically own and manage the land in the area. The thing is, like, this is wilderness that really, it's not being managed in any reasonable definition of the word. They're in charge of this wilderness, but they don't really have to do anything with it but let the animals run around.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys have done all your shopping.
Does anyone have a problem with me taking 90 gold to buy the things I need to buy?
No.
Do anyone
No,
go
that's
twice?
fine.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I have literally like 2,000 gold here. If I'm also, I'll sell the wood steel coins then too.
Okay. Yeah, you can trade those over 1 for silver pieces.
Can I exchange them for gold?
You can, but 6,000 silver pieces worth of gold is 600 gold.
Yeah, exactly.
And you trade don't forget the steel coins as well.
The black
the
iron?
coins. Yeah, the black iron coins.
Each one
do
is
you want me
worth
to-
1 platinum.
Well, I'll trade those in too if I can.
You can.
I mean,
Okay.
if we need black iron, we have 4 helmets and like
Sure.
4 shields.
Yeah, the black iron coins could reasonably be melted down. But again, the black iron, it's not in wide use, and its only real property is that it's iron that doesn't rust. You can make armor that's lower maintenance than typical armor. Or weapons that keep their edge a little bit better in inclement conditions. Ruby wants to know when you plan to FaceTime with Abernathy Amberson.
Me?
Yeah,
You're the one who has to marry him.
I told her within the next week.
within the next week. So
Yeah.
you would have no problem
Like,
if she invited him over tomorrow for a luncheon?
Like, she's like, Jeannie is thinking, like, how much work do I have? Like, do I have everything cataloged? And she's just thinking real hard, and she just kind of shrugs and says, yeah, sure.
Okay. Because Ruby knows you will always make more work for yourself.
Right.
You will never give yourself the day off. All right. Is everybody staying at home tonight? Taking a long rest?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Nice to have a bed. Nice to have a night in your own bed every once in a while.
real quick, one extra question for crafting, Rick Road. Are we still doing 5-day work weeks to make the math easier, or
Yeah,
what?
let's do that.
Okay.
I liked the way that was very low maintenance before. Everything's divisible by 5, except for 6. But 6 isn't a real number, so it's fine.
Well, we're just-
You have a 100 GP Pearl then when I get back from buying spell components. Does anyone else have any spells they need components for?
Probably some incense for fine from
Yeah,
others.
I got that. Don't worry.
Okay.
I think we're the only two with spells like that, so.
All right, 100 GP Pearl. It's on my character sheet now.
Yep.
That means it's real. So do I get 1 day, or did I get not just? I don't know if today counts towards the crafting.
8 hours counts as 1 day. That's 1
8
work day.
hours. All right. Was today a work day, or was
If you
it
take a
not?
long rest, you can apply all of that to your work day. That's fine.
Okay, so
It's something you can do
one
over
workday.
a long rest or over downtime,
Right.
providing
One
you have the
workday.
tools and stuff to do it.
Well, yeah. Let's see. So what I am crafting, just for everybody's edification, is a dagger from one of these planks, and it's going to be a uncommon magic item. So there we go.
Nice. Just roll percentile for each plank. You got a 50% chance to get a dagger out of each one.
Percentile. Can I roll a D10? I mean, not a D10, a D20 instead. I hate rolling percentile.
You have to
They
roll
hate me.
percentile.
They hate me, Brick Road. Gosh. Let's see. Material.
It's
Metal.
a percentage chance, not a D20-ish percent chance. Be glad I'm not making you roll the actual D100.
That is a 14.
Okay,
No,
so that's
higher.
that's a success. You rolled under 50.
Okay. All right. So I have. And so if I get 8 hours of work, I'm going to go ahead instead of I'm just going to make all the blanks for all the equipment that I want. So if I can do one work day, that's 50 gold pieces a day, Destil? Is that right? Sound right?
I don't know off the top of my head. You'd have to look in
Yeah, it's
Xanathar's. Sorry.
No, it's
That
fine.
sounds right, but
Yeah.
Orson returns home. That after the evening meal, he's not home for dinner tonight. But before you all turn in very good spirits, and informs you that he has not only taken care of the debt situation, but also because he paid back his contact so timely that he's able to secure credit with future spell scrolls that your adventuring endeavors might need.
Well, that all sounds great. Is he willing to share the name of this contact with us?
Make an insight check.
Sure, I could do that.
Can we all make it?
I'm gonna let Evie make it because Evie's the one who just asked.
Well, my insight's probably the best in the party anyway.
All right, brag about it. Why don't you?
The gold pieces per work week.
That doesn't really help when I roll a 6. That's a 12.
So you press the issue.
Well, I would like to know.
Okay. So you press the issue.
I'm
and-
not gonna break his kneecaps for him.
I didn't say break his kneecaps. I said press the issue.
I say, are you willing to share who this contact is with us yet?
Break his kneecap sounds like crowbar work. That's more Genie's situation. He eventually does share the name of his contacts. A man named Crucis. Crucis is a dock worker, and apparently he's a guy that the people on the street say can get a hold of basically any magic scroll you need, provided it's a scroll that would be made by one of the great houses with an establishment in Brennanine. So it would be a way for people to get a hold of scrolls without having to present themselves to one of the great houses. Which is really good for Orson's purposes because he doesn't have the kind of nobility contacts. He would have to go through Ruby, or it'd be like an awkward situation, which is the same for any small folk in town. A guy rolls into town, he's got a sack of gold, needs a scroll, doesn't know how to wine and dine the nobility, isn't really looking to forge business contacts long-term in Brennanine. You go through this guy Crucis, he gets it done for you.
Okay. I mean, Evie's not judging. She's assuming this guy is probably not entirely legit, but Orson seems to understand.
He's definitely not entirely legit. If he can get a hold of scrolls that are house magic...
Yeah, that sounds like the kind of thing you could get in trouble for, but she's not judging, but she doesn't want Orson to get into trouble. So she's just going to say, make sure no one ever sees you talking to this guy, because people will ask questions, and if Ruby hears about it, you're really going to be in for it.
So get into trouble in this context. It's not illegal to buy and sell spell scrolls. It's not like you're not going to get hauled before the tribunal and thrown into a dungeon and then some guy brings Ekon to visit you 40 years later. But, for example, if like House Bulk got word that somebody on the street was selling water-breathing scrolls when that's kind of their purview, you might be in trouble with House Bulk. And they do have considerable resources.
Yeah, so it's just Be careful who sees you talk to this guy, because there are people who would not be happy to hear about a guy like this doing this kind of business.
Orson, he tells you that he'll be careful, but you failed your insight check. You don't get any more than that. Yeah, he tells you he'll be careful.
Well, I know what he's like, so I know he probably thinks he's being very careful. But...
You don't even know what class he is.
No, I don't.
So
no one knows. It hasn't been decided yet. He's got
secret.
Schrodinger's class right now.
All right, so everybody go ahead and take the long rest. You can apply a workday to any tasks you have ongoing. The next day, tomorrow afternoon, Trieste and Donique and Abernathy Amberson are supposed to come over for a luncheon. Who wants to be present for that? Well, let's take morning actions first. Does anybody have anything they want to do in the morning?
I'm going to go to the church and just report in, see what's been going on while I've been out of town.
Jeannie,
Probably,
you're going to be at home getting dressed.
Probably do a morning probably taking the morning sermon and do any other duties that I've missed.
Okay.
Victor is going to go to the Guild of Unsealy Mumbo Jumbo and give them his report. He'll take Orson with him.
Okay.
He wants to make sure he's back in time for this launch.
Evie.
There you go.
Yes.
It is heavily implied by your sister that you are to be at this luncheon properly dressed and on your best behavior, but you have more leeway to squeezle out of the morning preparations than Jeannie does, if you desire. But if you do, it gives Ruby another reason to not like you. And she has lots of reasons.
Ruby's going to find reasons no matter what. But, I mean, Evie's like, I have to sit down for lunch with the frickin' Amberson sisters. Like, why did she think I would ever not be on my best behavior? Let's start there.
Because you're erotically attached to knives?
Well, that's personal business.
You're basically Sweeney Todd.
Do not kink shame Brick Road. This is a safe space.
Is Evie spending the morning preparing for the luncheon?
I was gonna go talk to someone, but if Ruby is breathing down my neck, then I feel like I should probably just. It's gonna be easier in the long run to just do what she says.
Okay. And what about Edmont?
Edmont is painting.
So
He
he's
is
at home
painting
this morning?
yeah.
And is everybody planning to attend the luncheon this afternoon?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Ekon, do you share anything about your recent adventures with Athar Platten?
Yeah, you know what? I'll actually share about the bit where the bandit escaped and stole our horses. I'm interested in his take on that, aside from calling me an idiot.
He laughs at you and asks what important life lesson you've learned.
Probably don't let bandits walk past your horses unattended. Maybe kill them sometimes.
Yeah, his takeaway is any lesson that doesn't kill you or leave a scar is worthwhile. And it sounds like this one did neither, so you came away from it okay. He's very interested to hear about the two-headed Hellhound you fought that this bandit apparently controlled.
It dissolved to ash when we killed it, right?
It did.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I didn't think to bring any of the ash back, unfortunately, but I will describe it in detail to him.
And that's the most interesting part of this. He's less interested in like the ghosts that you guys had fought or the treasure you found, but the monster. Other than that, he basically treats the adventure as life experience for you. Doesn't really seem to pertain much to the work. But you came back from it stronger and smarter than when you left, which means it's worthwhile. Edmont, what are you painting?
I'm working on the sketch that I took in the village. I'm finishing that into a full painting.
You try, man, but every 30 or 40 seconds you keep finding your hands coming back. God damn, it's merman nipples again. Jesus. pile of
He starts
canvases just thrown
He
to the...
subconsciously puts them in his painting without realizing it.
So you took a sketch. You're painting because I know you sketched Keithan at one point, and you sketched the lake.
Yeah, I
standing up on the
sketched
cliff.
Keithan and gave it and it included it with the with the missive that we sent to the Lord of the lands to you know as part of the wanted poster kind of deal thing. And then I took basically kind of a panoramic sketch of the village
Okay.
as well, and now I'm finishing that into a full painting.
We can keep track of this as far as workdays go. If you want to make a masterpiece out of this,
Yeah, sure.
make me. I have no idea how long it would take to paint anything. I'm the exact opposite of an artist.
I've done landscape paintings in a few hours, but detailed work would take much longer.
Make me a. I'm going to call this dexterity performance. Or dexterity. Either use dexterity or charisma, I guess. Kind of depends on the kind of painting you want. And then either use performance or your artist tools. Again, kind of depends on the kind of painting you want to make. And then add 1 to your roll for every, I'll say, 5 gold pieces you invest in making this painting.
Okay.
And if you crack I'll say 15 or better on this roll, you'll have painted something of real value.
Okay, let's see. Let's see, dexterity, painter's tools. Let's see, it's proficiency is +2 still. So 5. We'll go ahead and throw 10 gold worth of supplies on it.
Okay, so you went with dexterity and painter's tools?
Yep.
Oh no!
That's a 20.
All right. Well, I mean, you're going with something very, very functional then. Like you're painting pretty much exactly what you've seen.
I thought it was a 1.
You're not going with creative interpretation of it. You're not trying to make it look more or less beautiful than it was. You're trying to make the landscape kind of speak for itself. You know what you saw, you know what you sketched, and you have the skill to paint it. And you're not going to finish it in one setting.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say it's going to take you 5 full work days to complete this landscape. But when you do, you think you'll have an art piece of real value. Something that somebody would be interested in purchasing for some amount of gold.
Okay.
In fact, probably a fair amount of gold, because that's you got a 20? Oh, it came out to a 20.
Yeah.
You didn't roll a 20 and then add the stuff. Okay.
Yeah, it came out to a 20, dirty 20.
20's fine with me. And the people, where do you paint in the mansion? Does Edmund maintain like a private studio, or you just set up a canvas in one of the common
I'll probably
areas?
just set up a canvas in one of the common areas.
And when you do that, I mean, the serving people that are passing through, you get a lot of compliments all morning. And some confusion, because at first they think you're painting Lake Lothril, which of course you're not. Your cousin, Giannis, halfway through the morning, kind of becomes your companion. He enjoys watching the process and watching the color appear and hearing your soft, soothing words about happy little trees. And you can tell that he has great interest in what you're doing. And he's the one that actually points out, like, he's seen this kind of artwork. This is the kind of thing that patrons in the city would hire an artist to make or to craft, or that would go on sale at a gallery.
It's been a win for me, but I mean, if I could make a name for myself as a painter, that would go awry.
Instead of a signature, you just punch a hole through the canvas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, there was one other thing I wanted to do now that I'm remembering while I'm at the temple is I would like to at least officially put in the request from the people to maybe get an actual Aethar out to that village.
Okay. That's probably not going to happen unless you find like handpick somebody that you convince to go out and do the work. What you
Okay.
can arrange, however, is for basically like a supply delivery to the church, because it was ill supplied when you arrived, and then you ran through a lot of what they had
Yep.
remaining. Yeah, if you attach your name to it, you find some trader leaving out of Brennan who's happy to put, or that's heading in that direction, that's happy to stop off at this particular village and earn some brownie points with the church for doing this good work.
Great.
But yeah, I would say it would take at least a couple of days of effort if you wanted to literally find somebody in town who wants this work and convince
We'll
them
see
to
how
want
my
it.
next couple of days pan out. Maybe I'll do that with
Okay.
my later actions.
Jeannie and Evie, you get all gussied up. And yeah, Victor and Orson going out to the guild, making your report there. The interesting thing you have, obviously, is you have the den of bandits that had set up shop that you rooted out, which is good news for them because this is exactly the kind of trap that they would send brand new adventurers out into. And you've located a portion of the underwater ruins, which you told them you weren't going to survey. You told them you were only interested in the shoreline. But you found a portion of it that had not been uncovered for a long, long time.
We changed our mind when we were there. We had the opportunity and we took it.
That's fair enough. This is in the meantime, they may have requisitioned some other group of people that they were going to have go out and check it out. That's not the case, but it could have been.
Well, it sounds like that'd be their problem then.
But yeah, job well done. You're free to... Any treasure that you found is yours to keep. Everything that you took off the bandit or took out of the ruins. It doesn't sound like there's anything that has to be reported or turned over to the church. You didn't come across like an unseelie talking sword or anything silly like that.
Alas.
That they know of.
So, are Orson and I able to join the guild as full members after this? Or were we already?
I mean, technically, you could join the guild as full members by just walking in and throwing around your house name. Like, they're not going to gainsay you. But along that line of thinking, you do detect a little bit of surprise amongst some of the guild masters who have been there for a long, long time that you actually went out and did competent work. Because you can probably imagine they get a lot of people in here who don't. They just want the prestige of saying that they're ruins hunters, or that they found a magic item, or that they've slain a monster with the lowest effort possible. You guys actually went out and did it.
We are House Veritas.
Do you give them like a full accounting of the items and treasure that you found, or are you keeping any of that secret?
We will tell them about half of what we found.
Well, which half?
So we'll mention that we found out what we actually found here. So instead of saying we found 4 things, we're just going to say we found a couple. We found a few wood steel coins and black steel coins.
Okay, you tell them about, because you also found 2 magical spears.
Yeah, so we found a magical spear. So basically, whatever we found, we're going to tell them that we found the same type of stuff, just not the quantity.
You're a liar. Victor's a liar.
Is that news to you?
The other thing, you have Keithan's staff that you took off of him, a blue potion that you took out of his hoard, and a crystal
Decanter.
like a crystal decanter.
Yeah.
Did you report any of that? The idea here is that like they might, anything you tell them, there's a possibility they'll be like, oh, well, that might have to be cataloged. That might be an unsealy item. We don't know.
Yeah, so the stuff that we only found a single copy of, I don't tell them about.
Okay. Keeping secrets. It's called lie of omission. And
Victor is a rogue.
against church law, and Ekon can now have you burned at the stake.
Well, that's fine.
He's gonna have to get
because
in line if you.
Victor values knowledge over people.
Okay. No, they take you at your word that you found a certain amount of treasure. You have to explain to Orson later why you did it. What's your explanation?
Yeah.
So what do you tell Orson?
Oh, I tell Orson that, given our house, we have our own capabilities to determine if something is unseelie, and of course, anything we find that is unsteely or dangerous, we will return to the church, but our first priority is always to our house, no matter which guild we are part of.
One of you has a reputation for turning unseelie items over to the church.
Yep.
And it's not Victor, is it?
It's definitely not Victor. I can tell you that right now.
Victor has... It may be Victor. He has Relic Seeker. I just forget what the details behind that were.
He has Relic Seeker. It's not... Whereas Ekon actually Relic seized safely. So Orson would notice that. He'd point out that sounds like something that Ekon would do. And he's not passing judgment. He doesn't think there's anything wrong with the house keeping hold of potentially powerful artifacts. It's just, he kind of... He sees through that part of the explanation, I'll put it that way.
And Victor will just kind of lightly nudge him with the elbow and say, remember those scrolls? And they'll have a good laugh about it later. But yeah, so Victor and I think Orson would like to become official guild members of this guild.
And so this is the kind of work that this guild does. They'll get reports of ruins that are already plumbed, that have already you would expect them to be empty when you go check them out. Basically, the job is going out there and being like, "Yep, still empty," and that's exactly what happened. 2 of the 3 ruins that you checked, the only reason there was anything of value in one of them was because bandits were running an operation out of it. And there's no end to this kind of work. You would expect that most of it would not be particularly lucrative or prestigious, but it is important work that needs to be done.
And what's it's the Guild of Unsealed Exploration, or?
I always forget the name of it, even though I'm the one who named it. I have it in my notes here.
You could change it to a name that is less difficult for you to remember.
I
None of us will
can't.
pass judgment.
It's the House of Unseelie Valuation. Their job is to make sure that unseelie things don't take root in ruins that are already well understood.
Call it the HUV. Like the DMV. It's easy to remember.
Everybody arrives back at the manor in time for the luncheon. So they've set all the places out in your main dining table for a light meal. It's not going to be a big 7-course affair. But the bulk of the family is there. Notably missing Valeri, obviously. I'm not sure to what degree you consider him a member of the family. Lugrin is not in evidence. But everybody else is. All the tables are set. And so various members of House Amberson have come. The 3 most pertinent to you being Donique, Trieste, and Abernathy, who now that you're seeing him in person...
Does he have nipples?
Not visible under his finery, wearing the colors of House Amberson, which are the colors of water. However, once you see him in person, it becomes very clear that the wooden merman on the front of his vessel is his face without the hook nose.
Victor will just grin at Jeannie.
The second thing you learn about him is that for some reason he always seems to smell like a dessert tray.
That's a very specific thing to smell like.
The luncheon is very, very pleasant. And Jeannie, you are sat next to cousin Abernathy, who cannot wait to take you out aboard his boat and have you show him from the beautiful waters of the lake all of the grand sights as you circumnavigate Brennanine and all of its canals. Brennanine doesn't have canals, but he calls them that.
I don't know. What are these if they're not canals?
Jeannie would correct him, because being correct is important to Jeannie. when
Is
you're
Jeannie
talking.
correcting him politely?
Yes, they're yeah. So they're not canals; they're waterways, or whatever the correct term is.
Is it fair to say that Jeannie is out of her element at this point?
Out of my element, like how? Like in the sense that
That you're
like,
dressed up at a dinner party where you're expected to act and
Jeannie
behave a
is not
certain way.
Jeannie is not nervous, if that's what you're asking, but Jeannie thinks she's nailing it.
Okay.
Evie is probably sitting immediately next to Jeannie on the other side, and is maybe politely nudging her to say and do the correct things. So she's got a coach.
Evie
So
is
like
not
I said-
sitting next to Jeannie. Trieste is sitting next to Jeannie.
Okay, so
Unless Evie takes the seat, but again, that's something that's going to irritate Ruby.
So Jeannie, like I said, Jeannie is out of her element, but she doesn't know it. If that makes sense.
So let
Like
me go
she
around the table
thinks
here.
she's nailing it.
So Jeannie's intent is to nail it. You want
Right,
this lunch to go swimmingly.
Right. Like, but like Jeannie is.
Does Jeannie confess that to anyone else before we do the lunch?
So yeah, Jeannie. Like I'm gonna. Jeannie wants. You all know this. Jeannie wants to do a good job so she can go back to doing the things that she likes to do.
Well, if you're not too offended, you can get a enhanced ability charisma.
Sure.
So before the lunch, you confide to Ekon that you really want this to go well, and he gives you enhanceability. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
So-
says a prayer to make sure that, social lubricant.
What is Ekon's intention during the actual lunch? What is Ekon trying to accomplish?
Ekon is mostly trying to remain quiet and observe anything that other people might not pick up. Like, he's mostly listening, and if he gets into conversation, he'll mostly ask leading questions about anything that doesn't add up, anything that seems inconsistent about what people are saying. He's kind of in just, monitoring mode.
Okay. What is Evie's goal at this lunch? What is she trying to accomplish?
Evie's goal is to just get out of here without something going wrong. That is it.
What would be an example of something going wrong?
Victor
Donique
stirring up
Amberson,
shit.
Donique Amberson is here. There's a lot of ways this could go pear-shaped.
Right. What's an example of one of those ways?
Donique trying to make some kind of scene or trying to make me look bad somehow.
So is Evie focusing her attention on Donique then to make sure that Donique doesn't misbehave?
Evie is basically acting like Donique does not exist. Not in a way that would give offense or make it clear that she's doing that, but she's trying not to. Basically, she's trying to act above it.
Okay. What is Edmund's goal at this lunch?
Let's see. I would like to lend my support, but I'm not a talker.
So you're just looking to have a nice meal and keep your head down?
If the discussion turns to matters of working of our work, then Edmund will pipe up. But otherwise, he's not very adept at
official
the
work
social
with-
niceties.
You mean your official work with the guild or babysitting? Or do you mean the work that you've done with Aethar Platin?
The work that we just came back from, the expedition.
The
that we just
expedition.
came back
Okay.
from.
Because a lot of the discussion is going to be about the expedition. That's obviously Abernathy's going to want to know. But otherwise, Edmund's just kind of keeping his head down.
Yeah.
And what is Victor's goal at this lunch?
Victor is going to try to put forth a polite conversation and try to get to know who these people are and more about where they come from, more about Nornir, why this guy's
before
what he is.
the lunch. Go ahead and make me a history check, intelligence history. Do you have any kind of background or any kind of skill synergy you think would apply to Victor already knowing a lot about Nornir?
Not unless knowledge of maps would do it.
No, not really. Just go ahead and make the check then.
Yeah, and just whatever else we've learned about the cultist and stuff like that.
Well, Victor has traveled before. He's been to places.
No, that's what this check is going to
Yeah.
model.
Okay. right.
That would be a 16.
So common knowledge about Nornir is that it's the biggest port in the Republic. This is something everybody would know without a roll. It's the biggest port in the Republic, and from every place in the city, you can see a lighthouse called Ayer's Eye. Ayer's Eye can be seen from miles out to sea. It has grand magical light in the lighthouse. It's sort of... It has the same connotations as, like, the Statue of Liberty would have. If you don't live in the Republic, Ayer's Eye is what you see as a symbol of the Holy Republic. And the people of Nornir take great pride in this. And then your actual roll was a 16?
Yeah.
Okay. And we've established you've traveled to Nornir. Have you been there before?
Yeah.
Okay. So you know enough about the city to... I mean, you know that people travel around canals on pole boats. That's a hard word to say. You know a little bit about how business would go back and forth in the city. You know that there's an undercurrent in Nornir, a sort of self-importance. Because while it's the symbol of the Republic in a lot of eyes in foreign nations, it's still not the capital. It's not Brennanine. And in fact, Nornir citizens, especially traders and merchants, are always correcting people at other ports of call around the world, on other continents and other countries, that no, Ayer's Eye is not in Brennanine, it's in Nornir. So it's kind of a chip on the shoulder aspect to the upper crust of Nornir. That said, you don't detect any of that in Abernethy. He's a more pleasant fellow than that. So with that knowledge, your goal in the lunch is to do what?
It's basically to find out just more about Abernethy and his family and what he does.
Okay.
And also any rumors or gossip that's currently spreading through Nornir.
So are you trying to learn more about Abernethy and his dealings in Nornir, or are you trying to learn rumors and gossip from...
The primary goal is to learn rumors and gossip.
Okay.
And he's going to try and do that by kind of not trying to make sure that Abernethy doesn't hate him.
Genie.
Yep.
You're going to be giving me a charisma performance check.
Sure.
And you can add... You've got enhance ability charisma on that, I do believe.
Yep. Said perform. I don't have any charisma-based skills anyway, so it's fine.
Ekon.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to ask for a charisma perception check.
Not in insight. Okay.
You can make it an insight if you want.
Because that's just more what I was leaning towards. Was just more intuiting things from what people say in their body mannerism, rather than like trying to drive the conversation at all.
In that case, you can make it it's a standard wisdom insight, yes?
Yep.
Okay, do that then.
That is an insight of...
We'll just make the check. I'm going to ask for it in a moment.
Yep.
Evie,
Yes.
we're going to call this charisma deception.
Okay, I could do that.
Because you're trying to shun Donique without it coming across as though you're shunning her. Edmont, you can make a wisdom insight. Victor, make me a charisma investigation. Genie, what was your roll?
16.
16. What was Ekon's?
Ekon got a 9.
A 9. What was Evie's?
After spending 2 blips to reroll, I got a 25.
Down to the blips are coming out. You know it's Wacky Shack when the blips come out and it's not a combat scene. Actually, I'll bet more blips have been spent in social encounters than combat encounters over the campaigns.
Yeah.
Edmont, what was your insight?
Insight of 16.
Yeah.
And how did Victor do on his investigation?
Victor got a 14.
All right. Let's go ahead and take a break here. We'll reconvene in about 15 minutes, so about 4:25. Go ahead and get your coffee, get your bagel, and we'll see whether or not you guys can get Jeannie married off.